Hello, everyone, and welcome to From Classroom to Corner Office Career Talks with Chris. This is a podcast created to provide hints, tips, and tricks for those entering the workforce or those that are already there to support their career journeys and help position them to reach those career goals by learning from those that have lived it, both the good and the bad. Today, we are joined by Emma. Hello, Emma.
Hi.
Emma is currently a global head of marketing and has carved a niche in the marketing industry while also, very, very interestingly enough, having dabbled in podcasting herself. Give a little shout out to Marketing Nuggets if you're interested in checking that out on any place you can find your podcasts. So, Emma, thank you for taking time today to discuss your career journey and provide some helpful information for whether these are college students or those that are just trying to figure out the next step in their lives.
Oh my God, happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, foremost, this is just for everybody, full disclosure, this is the first recorded interview. We'll see where it lines up in the lineup overall. But most of these we're going to be just chatting about people's career journeys, have some basic questions, but ultimately this is going to be a conversation. You know, what we can learn from each other, and hopefully everyone pulls something from each of these conversations that they can use in their own lives and to help further their own career efforts. So first, Emma, can you just share a little bit about what your career journey has looked like? We'll say, especially focusing on those early years, whether there were any struggles you had securing that first position in the marketing industry, that the industry in which you work now, and was that position one that you had envisioned that you would be in as you were completing your academic?
So, yeah, my first role in marketing was in the UK and it was in the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL. It was their European branch of their clothing. And I think what was the biggest moment for me was that my CV or my resume just looked like everyone else's. I just freshly qualified. I had a degree in business, but I also had a postgraduate diploma in PR. But it was pretty standard. Like I hadn't really had much other experience. I'd done internships, of course, but most people had done that. And I think that getting that first job, it was like, oh, they actually want to know about me and what I bring to the role and not just my qualifications. I think that I was like so focused on these are my qualifications. This is why you should hire me. And then I went for the interviews and they were like, yes, I was 50 other people got these qualifications. Like what makes you unique? And so actually me being like, I actually love the NFL, like having that as a conversation starter really helped me get into the door. I think more than I was expecting it to be. I just thought they wanted to tick some checklists off and be like, she's got this degree, okay, we'll hire her. And actually it was so much more of a package of a personality as well as your degree. The role itself was great. I loved it, but it was a really cool subject as well. It wasn't what I was expecting in terms of it's your first like big person job. You know, it was pre-COVID, so it was like 9 to 5 in the office every single day, and like the learning curve was steep. I think just being in an office 9 to 5, 5 days a week, not going outside from 9 to 5, like all of those things, like learning, like, oh, you actually should have a lunch hour, like you should actually go outside, like just like more healthy habits as well. I think that was something that was not really expecting from it. And yeah, I really enjoyed my first job actually. I loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah. And you talked about having internship experience, which is something that is continued to be kind of propped up and pushed to college students. Can you share a little bit about the types of internships you had and what skills you learned that you think really prepared you in entering that career and especially that first job? Because a lot of people think an internship, you know, I would say less now than before. You're somebody that's in the background getting coffee, you know, doing some, we'll say, less than fun tasks. But for you, what was that experience like, and what were the skill or skills that you took from that that best prepared you?
Yeah, so I did a variety of internships. I did one in the UK and I did one in Australia as well. and I did various like business positions because my degree was in general business. So I didn't know that I was going to go into marketing necessarily. So I was in the new product development, I was in design, I was in marketing for a bit. The marketing though was like Twitter back in the day. Like it was just tweets and tweets today, Emma. Uh, the actual jobs that I was doing like were less important. Like I might have been inputting loads of data into a spreadsheet, for example. I think that the skills that it taught me was the confidence. Like no one talks about how scary it is walking into a business on your very first day. Little things like, do you bring lunch? Where's the toilets? Is anyone going to tell me where the toilets are? Do I get up from my desk at 12 p.m.? Like, where do people eat? Like having just that office confidence at a younger age, when you then get your first job, you're like not so worried about office things because you've already done it, you've already had that experience. You've had to make small talk with a whole group of office people that you've never met before. So that really gave me that kind of confidence in just being in the office setting versus, oh, I learned how to do that. Like that's the things that I was doing is less relevant. The thing that it did help me with is the things that I was interested in. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm not so interested. When I did a week with the finance team, I was like, not really my niche. So it did help me uncover a little bit more of putting the things that I learned in my theory, like seeing them in real life and an actual person doing it. But it helped me more, I would say, in my office confidence versus like the actual skills I did.
Okay, so soft skills, right? We'll say more like
Yeah.
office soft skills. You usually think of job soft skills, but these are office soft skills.
Yeah.
How to navigate some of those initial conversations and just existing, right? Existing in the space.
Yeah. Yeah. And being like, how do I send emails? Like what is email etiquette? Like all those kinds of things. Like then it's less scary when it's your first day on the job if you've never experienced it before.
And for you, especially if you're looking at NHL, NFL types of, in those spaces, it's really interesting. Probably the timing for you to be in that was probably as the NFL was starting to really start to ramp up their presence abroad, I would
Yeah.
assume, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
and you having got your college education in the United States and then going back into the UK and being a part of that space, was that something that you think gave you a little bit of a leg up, having exposure to some of that American culture, the American football culture, and how that, kind of prepared you a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Going into the interview in Manchester in the UK, and I was like, I actually lived in America for 4 years, and I really got into the NFL, and I could like literally talk about. I remember the person that interviewed me was a massive Browns fan, and then he was like, "So who's your team?" And I was like, "Well, I went to West Virginia, so Steelers were my team." And he was like, "Get out of the interview room right now." So that didn't go quite as well as I thought it would. But I had that like common thread with him that I could then talk about. And because I loved it, I was like, I could bring the passion that I saw in America of how they love American football, how it's such a staple on Sundays, how it's such a staple on holidays, which I then understood because I'd lived that culture, whereas it's not necessarily the same in the UK, especially because the games are like through the night and it's not so much as like a family thing that you go and watch. So that gave me a leg up in an area that I wasn't expecting to have. You don't necessarily know what is going to help you in interviews until you start having the interviews, and then you can pull on your own experiences after you've done it.
And I'll say that's something I've personally learned as I've continued through my career is finding that common ground,
Mm,
especially in an interview, just makes people, whether that's you or the people interviewing you, so much more comfortable. Right,
yes.
and it's becomes more of a conversation as opposed to an interview, and I'm sure that kind of, I don't know how you felt going into that interview, but kind of brought your guard down a little bit and just kind of you had, like, this moment where you kind of everything kind of unloaded off your shoulders, and you're like, "Oh, this is just a conversation about somebody that's, a Steelers fan, talking crap with somebody that's a Browns fan."
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And that was like my first exposure to it to be like, oh, actually it's not as scary as you think it might be.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's good to hear. So, you got that first role, what did it look like let's say in the next 3 to 5 years past that, and kind of what you learned from that initial role and where you continued to expand or explore within that industry with other roles, with other companies. What did that look like?
Yeah, so when I was there, it was predominantly an e-commerce role. So I was doing a lot on websites and also social. And it was one of the times where one of the newer the NFL games were coming to London, and it was pretty new then. And the events team needed help. And I put my hand up and I was like, yes, I want to help. So that was a one really good piece of advice that I learned early on, was say yes to things that are outside of your day job. So I got to go to the NFL, like games, which was like, I can't believe I'm here for work. This is unbelievable. But I really loved the event side of sports. And so my next role was then over in cricket. So then a very British sport, kind of 360. But that was all about events, live sport. Unlike the NFL, I knew nothing about cricket. I couldn't even tell you the rules of cricket. So that brought its own challenges. But I knew that I loved marketing. I knew that I loved events. And so it kind of combined those things all in one, that I was marketing the ticket sales of cricket, but then I was also like working on the actual event experience of, well, why would people want to come to a game? Like, how can I make this exciting for various different audiences? How do I grow ticket revenue? So that was really exciting and different role for me. And then from there, I moved on to a protein bar company called Grenade. So that was also really interesting because that one was more of me as a target audience. Like, it was people that go to the gym, that they have a good time, but they're like not like serious fitness people, but kind of serious. So that brought a whole different element of challenges, because then I was marketing a product and not an experience. So that was a really interesting addition, I guess, to my skill set, to be like, oh, we're going to have new products that we're going to have to launch. And it's not getting somebody excited about, once in sports, you have your fans, so you know who you're marketing to. When it is a broader product, like a food product, it brings different challenges, which was really just like, adding different things to the marketing, like core skills that I'd already learned. So having that kind of early career exposure to lots of different kinds of marketing then helped me be like, oh, this is what I enjoy, this is what I don't enjoy. So I definitely recommend like lots of different experiences, and don't just niche in one and just keep with that one.
Yeah. So you got some different and unique experiences at each of those early career opportunities. For you, having come out of the college environment, got into that first job, what were the differences in what you thought would a marketing job would be versus what a marketing role actually was, because you were in event promotion, event planning. When people think I'm going to get a marketing job, that's probably not the first set of tasks or projects they expect to be on, is like event planning. You think of that as that's its own department, its own area. So for you, what was the expectation of marketing versus what was the reality, especially early in the career?
So I think that there was two expectations. One, it was like print ads, it was just magazines. And two, it was doing some tweets.
Hmm.
Actually, it's so much more than that. That's one area. So much more falls under marketing, a lot of content, a lot of engagement, like within just the information that's out there. I think marketing is usually thought of as advertising, but it's not. It's so much more that kind of falls under that, from everything from digital marketing to above the line marketing. I was also, what was interesting was when I learned marketing, influencer marketing wasn't really a thing. I didn't
Yeah.
learn about it in college. It didn't really exist. It was classic sponsorship. And then coming into the job world, and then actually things are evolving now. It's no longer Twitter and Facebook. It's now TikTok and Instagram and different social platforms. And influencer marketing is now something that needs to be a core part of your strategy. So I think it was, okay, the theory that I learned about marketing, how can I take that, but how can I keep up with the innovation in marketing and still apply the principles that I learned, but not kind of get left behind being like, well, I learned this at college, so it's only this way. It's like, you've got to expand your mind. Like, with critical thinking and not just take, well, I learned this, so this is all it is.
And done, right?
Yeah.
I read the book, we're done. All right. So, and that's interesting. Are there any, we'll say, books, articles, or people that you follow that have helped you evolve and focus on like, okay, I need to learn more about this? Is there any, again, any books, people that have helped you in that journey?
Yeah, so I also think it took me a few years to be like, oh, I need to keep learning. I think that after university, I was like, I am done. I'm never learning one thing ever again. Like, I've done my college education. I've been in school forever. Like, I'm done. It took me, yeah, maybe 3 or 4 years to be like, huh, I gotta keep. I got to keep learning and got to keep up to date, especially as you become more of a leader in industries. People look to you for what are we going to do. So first of all, that was one thing. The second thing was learning like how I like to learn. And I think that because at college, it's very much like you study your, well, when I was there, it was study your textbooks. It's all online. You have to read everything. And actually, like, I'm more of a listener. So
Mm,
I discovered podcasts, and actually that's like the way that I learned. So there was a couple of people on online marketing. There was someone called Jenna Kutcher, who I love her podcasts. Someone else called Amy Porterfield, who just kind of opened my eyes to a different style of marketing. And not only did I learn from them, it was also like just giving me like the motivation and inspiration to be like, let me discover some more things kind of on my own. And Stephen Bartlett as well from Diary of a CEO. He's classic in the marketing space. He's got really good story. His book was really good. He did a Diary of a CEO book, which I found really interesting. But I think it's like just like trying to find different podcasts that I liked to listen to them, but I was also learning with them. So I didn't feel like I was sat down, okay, now I have to study for an hour because no one wants to do that.
oh, and there wasn't a test, right? You listen to a podcast and there's nobody holding you to, here's a 20-question examination with 3 essay questions. Tell us what you've learned, right?
Exactly.
You kind of pick and choose what helps you or what resonated with you, and then you can expand on that and find other people that are talking about the same stuff. So
Yeah.
that's cool. And you've used that, right? That we'll say that preference in your learning to creating your own podcasts, right? So for you, was that something that just naturally progressed as a way to um, demonstrate what you've learned and share it with other people? Or was this a way for you to process what you had learned and actually put it out in some form? You'd be like, you know what? I did learn something and this is how I'm applying it. I want other people to learn how they can do this for themselves.
Yeah, that's a great question. It was kind of two reasons. One, when I started to become a people manager, and I was like, I wish someone had told me this because in all of my roles, actually, I never really had like a marketing mentor. Like people that were my boss, just somehow it worked out that everybody that was my boss was never in marketing. And so I never really had anyone to ask marketing questions to. And so then when I was a marketing boss and I could help people, I was like, oh, this is like so fun to talk to you about it. And so I was like, how can I like share this with other like junior marketers that might be struggling and like just need someone to be like, don't worry, we've all sent an email to 20,000 people with a massive typo in the subject line. Like, it's fine. We all do it. So just to kind of have that safe space of the kind of internet, I was like, I wanted to express myself in some way. And I am not a writer. So I think that also goes to finding what is easy for you to do. I always wanted to be like a radio host. So I was like, oh, I'm going to make a podcast. But then also that was the initial reason I started. But actually, you're right. Then it was, as I was learning and doing stuff, I was like, if I talk it back and it's like a good way for me also to learn and to figure out where I need to learn more and I need to do more. So it was kind of, I didn't expect it to be so retrospective, but actually it turned out to be that as well.
That's awesome, right? And that's always like let's give to the next generation of people in the field, and you know, because in the end, a stronger industry and a stronger field of people is better for everybody, right? It's better
Yeah.
for the companies. It's better for the perception of the people that work in those roles. And it also, for you, it may also create a network of people that you can bring in to support you, right? Now that you're a people manager and now that you're in a more prominent role, you find those, hey, you come and do this for our team. And you know that there are going to be, you know, maybe a year or two ahead of where many others would expect them to be at that point in their career.
Yeah,
So
totally.
great. So now you serve as a global head of marketing.
Mhm.
So you're not just working with specific product launches, product lines, or specific events. You've got some large scale considerations going on for every decision you make or are working to make day to day.
Mhm.
So with that broader focus, in a role like this, what does your day to day look like, and how do you manage? I will say you're probably being pulled in 20 different ways with 1,000 different questions day to day.
Yeah, great question. So, I'm now in the B2B space. I actually moved away from B2C to B2B. Again, I was like, "Ugh, I want a different challenge. I want something different. And I was like, I've wanted something that I'd never done before. So I moved over to a global consulting firm where I'm, yeah, global head of marketing there and I lead a team. First of all, like before I can even think of my day to day, to ground us in not the overwhelm. I create a marketing strategy and a marketing plan for the year, which usually I then look at in 3-month increments because we all know marketing loves a curveball. So I have that as kind of like our North Star of like, this is everything that we want to achieve. And from a global perspective, like broken down by country, broken down by channel. So we have that then different members of my team work on every day. The very nature of marketing is also to be reactive. So it's having that like know-how that we're going to get reactive stuff. We cannot just follow this plan and that's all we do. You have to kind of be receptive to there are going to be stuff that is reactive. So to enable me to not completely burn out and just be stressed, I have a really like solid to-do list that I do every morning. I write it before I even open my laptop. And then one thing that I've learned is to really protect my time. So like 9 a.m. till 10 a.m., I never have any meetings. Well, I try not to, where I do something that I know that I need to do, like the most important thing that day, because I know as soon as I open my emails, 10 people are going to need me to do something different.
Right.
So, but then it's fine because I've done my 1 hour of something that I know that I needed to move the needle in whatever our big marketing plan, brand plan, campaign is that we've got going on. And then I can kind of handle more of the day to day things that crop up that we need to make sure that we accomplish for people across the business.
Okay. That is some really good advice, that using that time early in the day or carving out, even if it's the end of the day. Like some people, that's just the time that, okay, I've let all of the activities play out, and now I'm going to take this last hour to kind of reflect on this, get 2 or 3 things done or one thing done that needs to get done before I leave. And I found for me as well, anyway, when I've been in roles where I've led a group of people, it also, I would use those last 15 to 20 minutes to plan out the beginning of my next day. Right.
Mm.
So I felt going in that, okay, I know how the first half hour of my day is going to go tomorrow. I'm not going to come in and, as you said, be inundated by everyone's requests that are urgent, whether that's true or not. Everyone always thinks that their requests are urgent, but usually only one of about 50 are truly requiring attention right away. And I found that. And I actually, there was somebody that I knew, well, that I've known from my past, that was in more of a sales space, and broke it down, because many people at the end of the day, you start to lose your mental focus. You're starting to just, everything's starting to be a tomorrow problem, right? And this person would say, find those last 30 minutes of your day and be productive, because you are going to, in many cases, outwork people by 2.5 hours a week, which then translates into 10 hours, or two and a half hours a week, which translates into about 10 hours a month, which is about
Mm.
120 hours a year, which is 3 full work weeks more than many other people are doing if you use those last 30 minutes
Oh, I
effectively.
love that. That's so good.
Yeah. Just to think of it in the macro picture as opposed to 30 minutes that day being a chore, right?
Yeah.
To think about what this does over a year-long period. So awesome. So you kind of took us through what your career journey has looked like. We're going to kind of make you reflect a little bit now and think about whether this is enveloped into some of your discussion already. What would you say is one thing from your academic career we'll say maybe focusing mostly on the collegiate career, that didn't prepare you for the workforce and the
Ooh,
day-to-day work life?
I think the probably the biggest thing is that I genuinely thought that then everything that I learned was all I needed to learn. Like, and I thought that the theory was the theory in like right then and forever. I don't think I appreciated that. No, this is the theory right now in 20 whenever it was 2010, 2011, 2012. And it's like this is just now. Like you will need to innovate. You will need to think past this. I think that I just thought if I learn every single thing that every teacher teaches me, that is all I need for a successful career. And it was like, no, they obviously can't see in 5, 10 years like how things are going to change. So I think just not like I should have been more prepared to, yeah, do the self learning, but also know like industries change, like technology advances, and not just think that if I just did this, then that would make me successful because it doesn't.
Right. We'll call these career quick hitter questions. That's what we'll
Love
kind
it.
of brand this as. So, finishing up, kind of these last few minutes here. Looking back, what was your first wake up call in your career where you realized either I don't know anything or you had made a mistake that in your mind was going to be the downfall of your entire career?
Yeah, I've had so many of these, honestly. I think that which one should I pick? I'm gonna pick when so it was NHL playoffs and my job was to send the winner's email, right? So people could buy the clothes straight away. The problem was I'm doing this in the UK and it was 3 a.m. and my manager was obviously asleep because he was like, I mean, you got this, it's no problem. And I was like, do I send it? Do I not send it? And I think like having that moment in the middle of the night, like thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds. I don't even know how much revenue rests on me sending this email. Like, who is trusting me right now with this? Like, I'm just a girl. I'm just sat in my room, like about to like, it was like a house share. I wasn't even at an office. I didn't even have a home office. I'm just sat like, who is trusting me with this? Because I don't trust me with this. So I think that was my moment. Like, oh, I have a real job now. Like somebody is like, I think it's different when you're in an office and people can see you and they know that you're going to send it and like you have that responsibility. And again, this was before working from home was really a thing. So it was a big deal that I was up in the middle of the night sending this email.
That's one of those things, especially when you're working with an international audience, right?
Yeah.
What you're doing in your working hours or in this case your evening or night hours, you may not have the support that you would expect to have, right?
Yeah.
Because whether that's somebody's 5 or 6 hours ahead of you or behind you, or it's the middle of the night and this just has to get out and there's nobody to ask. It's just you got to push the button and send it and deal with the aftermath afterwards.
All I could think was just don't send the wrong team because obviously we have both ready to go. I was like, just don't
Mhm.
send the wrong team. I checked it probably 20 times. It was the right team that won. And then like, you're like, are my eyes deceiving me? Let me check again that this team won.
Yeah. And is all of the text match up with that team, right? Is the message directly related to that team and their fan base and everything like that? Yeah,
Oh my
that's
gosh. Do not miss
I
that job. Let me tell you, doing that job specifically. Oh, that was so
yeah.
stressful sending the emails.
Yeah, I can't think, I've sent emails to hundreds and maybe 1,000 plus people that had, a message, but just thinking about this is going to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, like the
Yeah.
audience, the reach is incredible to consider that. I would stress over every letter, not even every word, every letter. So no, kudos to that. So, what do you wish, whether this is in your professional life or in your personal life as you support people, towards their professional goals, what is one thing you wish people asked you more often?
I think people often ask me about like a marketing specific tactic. Like, how do I do a successful paid funnel on LinkedIn? I think that for as an example, but I think they should actually focus more on if they're thinking more of like their long-term success as their career. It's more like the two main things that have helped me is figure out how I can be productive for 8 hours a day and how to build confidence in so many different scenarios. I think that I'm a generally confident person, but in marketing, you actually need to be confident in so many different ways, like putting your hand up in a creative meeting and saying, I have an idea, or presenting to senior teams or even your own team, or sending an email. There's so many different ways that actually, if I had built confidence every single week from when I just left college, I would be so much more confident in so many different avenues because marketing tactics change a lot. Like they do, they evolve. So actually focusing more on how to be productive and how to be confident, I would say would set me up for success more than learning how to do a paid funnel that's going to change next week because the algorithms are going to change.
That's perfect segue to the last question here because um, AI, artificial intelligence, in all of its forms, I
Hmm.
would say is probably transforming your industry area more than most others.
Yeah.
Right. So the uses of how to use it responsibly, effectively, I would say ethically is probably in there as well, all at the same time.
Hmm.
How do you envision AI transforming the workforce and your industry, we'll say in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so it's already like I remember last year being like, "We're using AI," and it was like, "Wow, you were at the forefront." And I was like, "If you're not using AI, like, what are you doing?" So it has already moved so quickly. I think that from a marketing specific perspective, first of all, it's making us more efficient in so many different ways. But I also think it's just more of everything. Like now, the barrier to entry is so much lower with creative, with like any form of digital content. There's so much more of it, and there already was so much of it before AI even was there. So I think that that space is like disgustingly crowded now. So from a marketing perspective, I think people are going to crave more human interaction. So I think events is going to be a lot more of a staple now in marketing uh, strategies when they're trying to be different because now everybody's got the same tools. Now, if you don't have a full time designer, it doesn't matter because AI is going to make it for you in 2 seconds. So I think that it's great in the sense of when you're a smaller marketing team to give you more tools, but then actually, like, we need to think, okay, but now what can we do that differentiates ourselves because everybody's got the same tools? And I think that the specific marketing roles are going to change. Like looking for people that are AI first, like how can they bring their AI skills in to make us a better team versus maybe having a copywriter. You might look actually, how can you get somebody that is more AI focused to then build that out? So I think the actual job roles are going to change within marketing, but I think that I'm seeing it as an opportunity of, okay, so now AI is doing all this stuff. We have all of this white space. What are we going to do that's different and going to really resonate with our audience more than all of this stuff that is just kind of going to be ticking along because we've already integrated all of our AI into our existing plans.
Yeah, and that's great insight because we can have all of the tools as professionals in whatever industry that we are in. We can have access to anything that makes us more, we'll say, efficient.
Hmm.
But in the end, as you stated, it's about how do we differentiate and how do we use it
Yes.
to make us different than others, to that critical thought piece that you talked about a couple different times, which is something that I think is continued to be discussed at the collegiate education level is here are the tools, but in the end, you're going to have to think critically about how to use them, whether that's to be different than others or whether how to use it to put together the best presentation, to put together the best project, to put together the best way to approach this problem. And that's the reality is all of the tools can be there, but if you don't know how to use them and use them well, then you're going to continue to be, in a spot where you're not progressing. Your career's not transitioning to the next level as you want it to if you can't use it well. So,
Yeah, that is so well put. That is
yeah.
totally right.
Yeah. So, as we're finishing up here, we'll give you now the opportunity to share any final words of wisdom, whether that's to be graduates, those that are about to enter the workforce, or really anyone that's just searching for the best way to position themselves for the next step in their career.
So I think a few things. One is use your 20s to see what you like to do. Don't just pigeonhole in the first job that you get and then go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do digital marketing or I'm going to do events because you never know what actually you find passion in. You spend so much time at work. So don't just think this is it now. I'm 25 and I can never change my career again. I think it's you go into that because you're so desperate for a job and you want it that you think that's it. You have to stay. So variation, definitely try out different things, different industries, different um uh expertise. Say yes to things that aren't necessarily in your job role. Now, don't burn yourself out, but push yourself out of your comfort zone. Say yes to things that you find scary, because that is going to really help you develop your confidence, build like more soft skills that are going to help you with your career. And don't be afraid to just completely pivot and do something different if you hate it, because life's too short to be miserable at work.
100%. Life is too short to be miserable at work. If we're gonna put a tag from this, that's it. That is the line. That is the tagline. That's what's gonna draw the people in. Um, Emma, thank you again for taking the time to do this, and your insight and your thoughts and your comments are not just applicable to those within the marketing world, but anybody, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some specific nuggets in there. Yes, intentionally saying nuggets, for for people in the workforce. But again, make sure everybody, if you don't already, go out there and follow, subscribe to Marketing Nuggets with Emma.
Thank
Give her
you.
some listens, give her some downloads, help her continue to build that brand. Any other aspects of the personal brand or professional brand you want to kind of highlight?
Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Emma Windsor, and I'm always happy to answer any questions or anything that if anybody needs just any advice on anything about their career, I'm always happy to listen and see if I can help.
All right. Awesome. And make sure that you all tune into the next episode of From Classroom to Corner Office Career Talks with Chris.